Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. We're going to talk about Rose Tico. Why are we talking about Rose Tico 2 years, 3 years after The Last Jedi came out? Because a Star Wars website writer claims he was fired for supporting Rose Tico. Now that's pretty interesting because Rose Tico has been a very divisive character, and I would think that Lucasfilm would be pro Rose Tico. So we're going to find out what's going on. I got to give a hat tip to DeSorcerer7, who gave me a link to this morning. Thank you for that. So this is coming from Bounding in the Comics. Star Wars website writer claims he was fired for supporting Rose Tico. I guess every rose has her thorn, right? Star Wars website writer Alex Kane, who wrote a number of articles about replaying classic Star Wars games like Episode 1 Racer, very good game, very underrated. Republic Commando, also very good. And X-Wing Alliance, also good. Claims he was fired from writing for the site for his support of Rose Tico. WTF. Kane took to Twitter earlier this month where he wrote, finally got removed from the contributors section of StarWars.com for not liking one bad movie. He added, I wrote for them almost 3 years. It's a bummer. So we're talking about The Rise of Skywalker. He didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. Kane then detailed that Disney was attempting to silence him. He explained, anyways, freelancers, all you have is your voice, and companies like Disney will absolutely work to silence it the minute you speak the truth about anything. Stay honest. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I agree, because that's what we do here on CLOWNFISH TV. Believe it or not, I actually worked for Disney in various capacities over the course of several years. In fact, in addition to the theme park website that we ran, that my wife and I ran, I worked as a Disney comics artist for a number of years, drew and colored a lot of Disney comics, a lot of licensed comics, and the last thing I worked on, if I remember correctly, was actually retouching and recoloring Don Rosa's work for Fantagraphics, which I'm very proud that I was able to work on that because I'm a huge Don Rosa fan. But I will tell you, as someone who's worked in and around Disney, yeah, you're not allowed to criticize them. Even if you are at kind of at arm's length with them, even if you are working at a media outlet that has a friendly relationship with Disney, you're not allowed to criticize them. That's just how they work. So I'll back him up on that. I'll back him up on that. Now, the funny thing is I find myself agreeing with Alex Kane, but for some reason he has me blocked on Twitter. I don't know what I did to him. I don't know who I followed that he doesn't like, but I'm actually finding myself agreeing with a lot of what he says here. He then detailed that he was fired because of his support for Rose Tico. Kane wrote, to be clear, this is a small symbolic gesture that affects little, and yet I've known it was coming since the moment I tweeted Rose Tico deserved better, hashtag. He added, but if they wait a few months, they can just deny this. I'll be fine. Yeah, freelancers, Disney freelancers are very disposable. They really are. He elaborated, I knew this would happen the moment I joined with the Where's Rose crowd, but it still hurts. It's symbolic, but ugly and petty. Just imagine all the people who weren't on board with The Last Jedi. Now, here's the thing. I actually do agree that Rose Tico, now I haven't watched The Rise of Skywalker yet because I checked out after The Last Jedi, but it is a very curious decision to introduce a character that has a major role in one movie and then sideline her completely in the next movie. And I understand that they were trying to walk back some of the decisions that were made with The Last Jedi, but that doesn't mean that you just completely obliterate a character. You find a way to write her better. You find a bigger role to give her. They basically sidelined her, as I understand it, at Resistance HQ, and she got like a minute of screen time. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Kelly Marie Tran being harassed. I can't say she wasn't harassed, but not every criticism of Rose Tico has been harassment. This story has been going around. Journalists have been saying for years that Kelly Marie Tran was harassed off of Instagram. As I understand it, she actually left before the supposed harassment took place. Now, look, you're a celebrity. You're going to get people say shitty things to you. And I'm not excusing anyone who ever said shitty things to Kelly Marie Tran. But you also have to understand the actress is not the character they play. And just because you don't like the Rose Tico character doesn't mean that Kelly Marie Tran, should be harassed. Everything I've heard is that she's actually, pretty cool to work with. She's actually pretty nice lady, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know her. I've never met her. That being said, Rose Tico, Holdo, and some of these other characters that Rian Johnson introduced in The Last Jedi, really, they felt shoehorned in. We still didn't know the characters that were introduced in The Force Awakens very well. Those movies should have been used to explore those characters, and instead we devoted a whole bunch of time to these other characters, and now they all got sidelined in the last movie anyway. It's just clearly Lucasfilm didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan. And poor Alex Kane is now out of a job because he's like, where the hell is Rose Tico? Kane then detailed that StarWars.com was the lowest paying client I've worked with in the last 4 years. That does not surprise me at all. Disney it's an honor to work with Disney. A lot of people view it as a badge of honor, but they don't pay very well. Usually they don't. He also indicated that he hadn't written for the site since November or December. Searching his profile, which is still available on StarWars.com, his last article was published on December 12th, titled How Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Connects to the Larger World of Star Wars. It was actually a damn good game. Before that, he had not written for the website since September, when he wrote an article titled 10 Essential Star Wars Games You Can Play Right Now. Kane would explain that his work is still featured on the website and his profile can still be viewed, but that he was removed from their featured contributors section found at the bottom of their news and blog category. That's kind of bullshit. Yeah, I don't really, I don't know, unless Alex Kane has been doing some crappy things I'm not aware of. I don't think him saying, hey, I didn't really care for this movie that much is a criminal offense. A lot of people didn't like The Rise of Skywalker for various reasons. He's allowed to have that opinion. But when you work for Disney, again, Disney in particular, there are other studios that aren't as crazy about it, but Disney, if you work for Disney, you gotta love everything they're doing. You gotta love everything they're doing, especially if you're a freelancer, because you can be cut loose at any point in time. And, you know, things change. I mean, I was reading up on John Lasseter a couple of weeks ago, and Lasseter had been fired multiple times from Disney. And as regimes change, you know, he was able to work his way back into their good graces, you know. And this has happened with a lot of animators. This has happened with a lot of people who work for Disney. Disney is a very large organization. Some people like you, some people don't, you know, but this is very interesting for everybody to be like, oh, you know, the show media, they get to do whatever, say whatever they want. Not really. You know, I mean, here's a guy who worked for StarWars.com and he got shit canned because he was vocal about his support for Rose Tico. Again, that is an opinion he is allowed to have. But this does show how Disney operates. You're not allowed to step out of line. You know, you're not. Again, the regime could change at Lucasfilm and he could be hired again next week. Now, speaking of regime changes at Lucasfilm, this is pretty interesting. The High Republic is being postponed for 5 months. This is, again, you want to talk about bad ideas at Lucasfilm. We've covered this. It doesn't sound like a very good idea. You know, it looks like a bunch of young adult novels that are going to be probably hitting all the talking points. They literally had a whiteboard where they had diversity and dinosaurs on this whiteboard above story. Not really what diehard Star Wars fans want to see right now. It is an interesting concept that they're going back, you know, 400 years before the Phantom Menace. But it does, to us, look like a dumpster fire. But they're postponing the launch. Now, of course, they're going to blame COVID for that. I have no doubt. But I have to wonder if they're not going to push it back to try to retool it. So now they're talking January 2021. Citing delays related to COVID, Lucasfilm has announced that the High Republic will move from August of this year to January of next year. The rescheduled line, which involves multiple publishers, including Del Rey, Disney, Lucasfilm Press, Marvel Entertainment, and IDW Publishing, will now begin on January 5th. I hope IDW Publishing is still around by then. So they've got books and comics and all sorts of stuff. So in a statement, Lucasfilm Publishing Creative Director said, now I know that waiting isn't easy, and I know that fans have been excited for this since it was first announced. I don't know if that's the word I would use. I'm right there with you. I've also been waiting to tell this story for years. Star Wars The High Republic has been a true labor of love for us, and we can't wait for readers to experience the golden age of the Jedi. I think it's being retooled. I'm going to be honest, because publishing shouldn't be delayed by the shutdown. If it were a theatrical release if it were a TV show, a live action show, but animation and publishing are moving full steam ahead. Now, I understand that comic books are having some problems now because they're sold primarily through the direct market, but there's no reason why they couldn't put this out this summer. Pushing it back 5 months tells me that they're probably going to take the time to rework it a little bit. Maybe they're going to wait until, Kathleen Kennedy is no longer with Lucasfilm. Who the hell knows the way things are going at Disney right now? It could even be a cost-saving measure. It could be some way to cut costs. And we're going to put them on next year's expenses. Who knows? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later. Hey, guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.